appropriate and equally exciting new traditions. And just the food in the classroom issue is really, with the amount of moving parts we have at the middle school level, the concern is about the allergies, and that's really why we're not doing birthday food in the classroom anymore, just because of the chance of, we don't want to risk it. Last part, popularity, social pressures. This definitely emerges more in the spring. Those of you who have older ones who've come through already know. We really start to see it come up at this point. And I encourage you to contact us if you think there's anything going on in terms of your child feeling excluded or feeling like something is not going well for them socially. Because a lot of times they won't tell you, or a lot of time, there's something, or they won't tell us. And then it'll come up that this has been going on for a long time, and the problem has grown. So we really want to encourage you to communicate with us about what you think your child's social needs are, or any sort of social snags they're having as popularity becomes a thing, if it isn't already. And we really want to work with you and your student on that. I guess this slide, another one. I bet none more.
So, can I just say one thing?
You can say.
Okay. So another thing that happens in 6th grade is raft. I don't know if you guys have started to hear about that through the Brookline Rec Center. And those are dances and other activities that involve all of the 8 K through 8s. And that in itself brings up a whole bunch of issues. It brings up a lot of the autonomy and having fun and feeling confident to be able to go off to a dance by yourself. But right now, especially with social media that's out there and the way the kids are connected, it used to be that they went to raft and they met somebody and they might see them on the soccer field, but now there's a lot of interconnecting between people after those dances. And I think they're a really big step, but I also think you need to really think about not just they're going to a dance, but they're have the whole social media piece. And I do think one thing that happens in 6th grade around development is that kids are still, you're seeing it in 5th and still in 6th grade at very different levels. So you're going to have people who couldn't care less about crushes or other people, that kind of thing. And then there's kids who are absorbed in it. And the kids themselves sort of struggle looking at their classmates who are at all different levels. But it's really neat to sort of see how things iron out by 7th grade. It's actually really amazing because it happens.
Great, thank you.
Okay, on the academic front, a couple of points that I'd like to make today. And the first one is differentiation. As most of you know, from the K through 5 level, we've got learners at all different types of levels. And we try to reach all those learners, and a lot of things that we do, not everybody does exactly the same thing. So some kids will be working on this piece of work and that piece of work, but it'll all be towards the same academic objective. I'm sure everybody's been familiar with the kids who go through. So that's something that we work with the special ed staff with that as well, and that is something we do as a 6th, 7th, and 8th grade staff. Assessment. This is probably one of the biggest changes between 5th grade and the beginning of the middle school years. Assessments come in the form mostly of tests and quizzes. And one of the biggest changes that kids report during the first couple of months of 6th grade is that, boy, we had a lot of tests and quizzes this term. This is a very, very common thing once kids get to the middle school level. And so this may be a little bit of a transition, but kids usually get used to the routine and they get used to the increased number of tests and quizzes because now they have all these major subjects that they rotate to during the day. So this is going to become a very common part of their school life. The student's grade is reported 3 different ways. There is a class average, the arithmetic average of all the work they've done. And also with that comes 2 numbers. There is a behavior score. And in your packet, when you turn to the rubric, when you see the behavior, you will notice on the left-hand side some of the things that they are going to be evaluated on in terms of the behavior. Following directions, listening when there's someone else's turn to speak, making an effort to work with others in a group situation, respecting the property of teachers and other kids, not needing redirection. So these are some of the things that students will be evaluated on in terms of their behavior. And when we're looking at effort, very common sense types of things, but completing homework on time and in a thorough manner, participating actively in class, arriving to class with the necessary materials, always having pencils, always having your daily planner with you, always having the binder that is associated with that class. When you're absent, coming in to see the teacher about work that you have missed. And that's the part that Nat was talking about in terms of self-advocacy and independence. Now it's up to the students to come and see us about when they're absent or other matters that happen to arise. Time management is probably going to be one of the biggest transitions going into the middle school level. And now what we have is we've got kids who are going around to 5 different classes, and they've got to keep track of all their work, and they've got to know that there's a test in world geography next Friday, there's one in English language arts on Tuesday, and they need to start to keep track of all this stuff, okay? And kids will be provided with a daily planner when they come in the fall, okay? But also, one of the other tools that is really great is to have one of these, having a desk calendar like this. I use this in my house when my kids were small, and having, a line calendar so we can keep track of things on a monthly basis, okay? So you can look at this, and it's a really great visual and very, very easy to use.
And with that desk calendar, I think if some of you are looking to get your student in the habit of tracking their stuff, one thing that they could do over the summer is to begin to use that desk calendar for social activities or going to camp, just so they start to get in the groove. If that's a concern, you're worried my student's not going to be organized this year, you can start getting them in the habit over the summer with just basic things that they're going to be doing.
Right. Homework, this is going to be, this is the last slide on the academic piece, but what we try to do in terms of homework is there's going to be an average of 20 minutes per night per subject. That's what our goal is, and that's what we're aiming for. Homework usually takes 2 forms. Number one, we're going to reinforce the day's objective, or we're probably going to preview something that's coming tomorrow. And that's the whole purpose behind homework. We do in the middle school level, just like in grades 4 and 5, we have a homework center where kids can go after school 3 days a week from 2:20 to 3:30, where they can get their work done. And all that information will be available in the fall, in September. So parents who want to sign up for that can do so. The last 2 points are really key. Supporting healthy time limits in home and informing teachers if there's issues in terms of kids spending too much time on homework, okay? And this is where we need parents' help. A lot of times we hear things in homeroom in the hallways that I was up till 11 o'clock last night doing X, Y, or Z. And those types of things are not acceptable or appropriate at the 6th grade level. Okay? Nobody should be up that late. So we ask you to help in terms of creating time constraints so that students aren't being up that late, and it's really not necessary. And if there is an issue with that, definitely contact your child's homeroom teacher so we can help figure out why that happened. And the last